Hello, myself Sunil Krishna. Here basically we are discussing the topic that is PHP basically, and this is basically the part basically that is 35th number part basically. So PHP Infinity is also basically available with PHP basically. Then PHP NAN basically stands for not a number. Means it will if you see the NA basically NA in your screen, that means it's not a number basically. So it says that basically it's not a number. Used impossible mathematics operator is used. This all things basically are. So you can use this function basically. PHP numeric strings basically are there. This is number and this is string basically. This will work or not work basically. So one of the person basically told that from PHP 7 basically the is numeric function will return false for the string basically hexadecimal. From this is no longer considered as a numeric string basically. So one of the person told that yeah, you are basically not explaining in detail basically. There is no need of explaining in detail basically. Why? Because until basically you will not do practically stuff basically, you will not able to understand the stuff. I will tell that basically PHP 7 basically numeric is this 32 bit basically, this many data are taken in. If it's a 62-bit computer basically, then it will take that much data. But until basically we will not check, we will not have. But few things basically you can't check practically. How, where basically you are going to check the data basically. You require the PC, you require these, that basically lots of stuff basically are there. So few basically system PHP also basically are not supported basically. That PHP also basically might not be knowing. Now basically the PHP casting string and floats to integer basically. So this is the basically the casting type basically. See, cast float to integer. Cast means what basically? In simple language, cast means conversion basically. So one of the person was, yeah, cast का ये क्या है cast का? So it's a conversion basically. You can convert the data to another data types. So one data type to another data type, but it should be genuine basically. Genuine means for one person told that I want to convert A into numeric, so that is not possible here basically, because it's a character basically, and you are converting that character into number basically. So it is not good. So the data conversion should be logically basically. So one of the person told that, but in programming basically, in AI basically, we can't say that basically the number is, the data is going to come, it's the, it would be within 0 to 10 basically. So you have to use the ready-made functions basically are available basically. Whether the past data is really basically coming between 0 to 9 or not, 0 to 10 or basically not, 0 to 9 basically. So that type of thing basically are there. So this is basically the conversion. So if you are 100% fixed basically that this data is only going to come, then it's okay. Otherwise basically you have to check the uh, parameter data basically which is going to come into the system basically. So mostly basically if you are into the programming side basically, never basically trust the data which is going to come. That basically keeps the habit basically. Never trust the data which is going to come from the source basically. For example, you are basically doing the programming and the banks are going to pass the data, so you can't trust the bank basically. If by mistake basically bank passed the wrong data, then what you by mistake basically, mistakes happens from everyone basically. but due to their mistake basically you can't suffer your programming basically. So best way is always keep the conditions basically, always keeps the condition, and always keeps the habit of having the log file in your system basically, because it might possible that you are doing very big system and you are basically having some lots of files basically included in your system. For example, one file you are running, in that one file basically you have included around more than 15 files basically. That time basically how you are going to debug here basically, but you have to keep the track of that log file basically, because it would be very heavy, and due to that basically your system also might get slow. So you have to keep maintain of that log file also basically, always basically take the backup of the log file. That type of thing basically you have to do basically, because if you are doing this, for example, one person to the yeah basically I want to keep the track of each and every file basically. So what is the option? So create the log file basically. But if you are creating the log file basically, then it will create problem in system basically, because you are writing the file na, basically you are writing into the text file. So that basically first of all the size, for example, at least basically if you are creating the log file basically, minimum data will be 1 lakh line, 2 lakh line. So it will create slow system basically, you will be dumping the log file. So always keep the habit of flushing the log file, or basically don't flush the log file, because it might possible that because you don't know na, you don't know basically what the log file contains up to that level. Otherwise we have to create the log and log file, that basically is not, otherwise it will convert to infinity basically, log file, log file, log file, log file, log file, log file. So always basically don't flush the data basically, because it might possible that some error might be there and you basically flushed the data. Then what is the meaning of creating the log file? So always keep the log file, and that basically might not be too much basically, it might be 5 GB, 6 GB, it will not go beyond that basically. But if you feel that basically everything is fine basically in that log file, you can remove it basically, or basically if you have the storage device basically available with you, you can basically store the data also of that log file basically. So there are basically very many habits basically, that basically before doing the programming basically, that always you have to keep in mind, and always keep in mind that basically you are doing the programming and which is directly connected with the physical area. Example, this much line you are adding, right? It is going to convert into physical data, sorry, physical place, but you will never able to know this basically. So one of the person told that what is the best programming technique here basically, because every time basically its power supply basically is going to connect to the physical place, the data is going to pass to the physical place. So what is the best way basically, because it is going to convert to the traffic also. It will, traffic means internet basically. So internet group basically told that basically यार सुनील हम तो परेशान हो गए तुम PHP से .NET से, because see the traffic basically यार basically each and every line basically is getting passed to the physical area, and we basically are suffering basically due to your this passing data basically. But without, one of the person told that okay फिर what, how basically you are the, what is the next of programming basically, one of the person told that then programming is, next program is AI basically, but AI basically is not passing the data from this to that. That is also correct. So what is the next of the programming, one of the person basically asked the question. So that's basically very dangerous thing basically, that is very dangerous. So one of the person told that basically ready-made function bana de, this function, that function, like PHP basically created a framework basically, cake framework, symphony framework, but that framework basically go into detail, there also basically variable declaration is not there, echo print is not there, database connection is not there, it's there na basically, that is programming basically. And you have given name as a framework basically, भाई हमने framework बनाया, we have created framework, and we have basically given good to the government basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.